everybody. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you one of those designs. This is another one that has actually been on my to-do list for a very long time that I just never got around to until this year because I just couldn't quite work out the logistics of it. And so what this is it is a 4D monster face that if you position it a certain way, he looks happy and cute. And then if you pull down his jaw and you tip his eyebrows in, he looks like he's really angry. And it's just so cool. He goes from cute to kind of mean and horrible looking in just a few little motions. It is so fun. It is so much fun to play with. I hope you guys love this one as much as I do. I have a couple past mouth opening videos for Halloween that are not at all cute, but always scary. Still really cool. And I can put links to those in the description box below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.
We are going to begin with an overlay of a glittery black acrylic, and it's one that I've used a few different times this year. It is such a beautiful mix. Basically, any dark colored background is great. This one happens to have a little bit of a purple hue to it, which will actually kind of tie in with the color of the monster's horns that I'll do later. But if you want to use a darker green or just straight up black, whatever you pick is going to be fine. Then encapsulate the nail with a layer of clear acrylic to make sure it is nice and strong. Once that is done, then you can go through and file the nail into shape using whatever method you prefer. So once you have the nail pretty much filed into shape, you're going to actually start the 4D mechanism right away. So use the very sharp edge of your e-file bit, if you're using a barrel bit, and sort of carve in 2 valleys. Once you have those valleys started and carved in, take an under the nail cleaner bit and carve those straight through so that the nail has a forked shape to it. And I would really recommend doing this with an e-file and not trying to just leave those areas without acrylic and, do them ahead of time. Just sculpt the nail and then carve them away. I personally find the results look a little bit cleaner and just work a little bit better. If that's not your style though, you can always switch that up. I'm going to carve a little indent at the end of the valleys on the underside of the nail. Now on a nail form backing, we're going to sculpt an oval with a neon green acrylic. Use the tip of your brush to make a little bit of a furry edge to it. Once that's mostly cured, pick that up and place it on the nail, leaving a gap underneath it in the middle. So the very bottom of this shape should rest at the top of those grooves that you carved in. Add more layers of this green acrylic, fluff them out with the tip of your brush to really make the whole thing look super furry. After you do the first layer to it, keep adding layers of this furry texture. If you didn't want to carve it in and do this whole furriness, you could also try to paint it in later to make it look like it has the texture. I actually think it is more effective and easier to do it this way, as well as probably a little quicker, but it's completely up to you, whatever your personal style is. And plus, monsters are, they vary. If you look at Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc., he's got skin, so maybe your monster's not furry, and you could skip this whole fur thing altogether. Up to you, whatever floats your boat. We're going to be doing the last little bit of the furry texture going over that exposed edge. That edge, like I said before, make sure it leaves a gap underneath it. You don't want it to be flat to the nail. It should have some actually pretty good space underneath it. We're going to cut off 2 pieces of fine wire, flip the nail over, put a little bit of nail glue in one of those grooves you carved under the nail, and you're going to set the wire in the groove so it goes straight down the little valley. Repeat for the other side. Try to straighten out your wires as best you can. A little bit of glue, hold the wire there until it stays. Once the wires are glued so that they pretty much go right down the hole, that whole little, I don't know what to call them beside the valley, that whole little valley. Once it's glued in there, which that one did not want to stay, there it goes. You're going to want to secure them in place with some acrylic. It can be black acrylic or clear. I would probably steer you towards using clear just so that it just seems to hold better, but black would also be fine. Let those set to the side just to make sure that they're cured. Then you're going to sculpt the next section of his face with more of your green acrylic. It's going to be the pretty flat on the top side, and then you're going to want to make it a little fluffy on the edge. Hold it in a slightly curved shape. I used a pinching tool to hold my form closed. And you're going to slide 2 beads onto the wires that are in the nail. So you've got the 2 little beads on the wires. The beads should fit within that valley. So the valley should be slightly wider than your beads. Place a little bit of nail glue on top of the beads and then hold the beads to the mouth, to the bottom lower mouth area. So that's just at the top of the lip. Hold that until the glue is dried and it's on there and the beads are stuck. Once the beads are stuck, you can slide it off, and then you're going to want to take and just secure the beads to the mouthpiece with some more of your green acrylic. or clear. Clear would work just fine too, but whatever color acrylic you want to use, I would probably actually recommend using clear acrylic, like I said, for underneath. It's just a little stronger. Once those beads are fully attached and there's no concern about them going anywhere, slide that piece back onto the nail so that the lower part of the mouth has a little slider bar to work on. And then you can texture that with some more of your green acrylic, fluffing it out to make that look just as furry as the top section of the face. If you have any questions about this slider mechanism, please don't hesitate to ask me. I will help you to the best that I can. Really, once you understand how it works, it is pretty easy to make. You just have to kind of, figure it out. After you have that done, set that to the side. Again, just to cure up. While you're waiting, you can sculpt 4 teeth with white acrylic. So when you're doing these, you're going to do 2 teeth that will be pointing down and 2 teeth that will be pointing up. You can sculpt them in any orientation, but just keep that in mind that it's going to be in 2 sets of 2. So try to make them in sets of 2 that are somewhat the same size, so that if you wanted to, you could make the inside teeth bigger or smaller, thinner, thicker, what have you. They don't have to be 4 that are the same, but they should be 2 sets of 2 teeth. I hope that all seems logical. Once you have those 4 little teeth sculpted, then you're going to move to a different section of your nail form backing, and you can sculpt his horns as well. Have fun with it. I'm going to do mine in purple, but like I said, there's no rules for making a monster, so he wouldn't even have to have horns, or he could have 6 horns. Whatever you want, play around with it. Switch up the colors, give him extra eyeballs or less eyeballs. This is such a fun, goofy design that you can just have so much fun with. I can't even emphasize it enough. I mean, it was so exciting to get to make it because you get to invent a monster. Once you have all those little pieces that you made on the side are cured, you can take and glue them in place wherever they go. So for the teeth that are going to be on the upper part of his face, the stationary part, they should fit over the lower part of his face. Then I'm going to glue the horns in place. Once you have those all in place, those first pieces, you may want to take and secure them with some more acrylic. If you want to do all of the gluing and then secure everything later, you can, but just on the safe side to make sure nothing's going anywhere, you might as well just add a little bit of security to it now. So I'm going to apply some green acrylic going over the top of all of these pieces, like the fur is sort of, just lying on top of them. So if they're not fully exposed at the top, just go over them. Same thing, it's going to kind of have 2 jobs. It's going to create a nice little blend from fur to tooth and fur to horn, as well as making sure that they have some extra strength. On the backs of the horns, I would recommend taking some clear acrylic or more of the purple, either way, and adding another layer to the back to add some thickness and some strength. Once you have those done, you're going to want to slide that bottom mouthpiece all the way off, and you're going to glue the other 2 teeth to the top lip. For the first 2, or to the bottom lip, I guess I should say. For the upper 2 teeth, the ones that are hanging down over this part, I spread them out really wide. So these 2, I'm going to be placing them close together so that when the face is open, you can see all 4 teeth. I'm going to secure these to this section with more of my green acrylic. I'm actually going to use my tweezers this time to sort of fluff that out instead of the tip of my brush, just because that acrylic actually cured a little quicker than I wanted it to. So I needed to use something with a little more security, a little stiffer to make that fur texture. I'm going to add a little bit more strength to the back side of my teeth, making sure that they aren't going to be fragile and break. Once all of that has cured, you can make sure it all fits together, slide it back under there, make sure it works. If at this point you slide that underneath and those teeth go right inside like they're supposed to, give yourself a pat on the back. I was actually astounded mine worked on the first try, because usually I have to do some, little fine tuning to make sure everything fits together. And it is so rewarding to have it fit together and just see how it's going to work, because this design is crazy. And if you can get it to work, it's amazing. Once you have the eyes sculpted in with white acrylic, you're going to drill 2 little holes right kind of at the kitty corner up from the eyes, and then glue a piece of wire into those holes. This time use a slightly thicker wire so it's got a bit more strength and stiffness. You don't want it to be so bendy as those first 2 skinny wires that I used. So once you have those 2 wires glued in, secure them. This was going to be so surprising with some more of your light green acrylic. Once you have those wires are, good to go for a while, they're going to cure for you. Slide your mouthpiece back on if it was off, and then you're going to bend those more skinny wires that are underneath the nail straight across each other so that they form a little crisscross on the bottom. Sort of push and pinch them down so that they sit right across the bottom of the tip of the nail. And then after you have them where they're bent over nicely, you're going to want to apply some clear, green, black acrylic, some kind of acrylic over the tops of the wires to hold them in place. I went with black acrylic, figured in this particular circumstance it was going to be the least visible. As you're doing this, make sure you don't accidentally get any black acrylic on your monster's lower part of his face. Back to a nail from backing, we're going to be sculpting the eyebrows with a darker shade of green acrylic. So sculpt one eyebrow, create a little hole in the back area of the eyebrow. So you want it to be on like the tail of the brow. Repeat for the other side. Use something pokey to make the hole. I'm using a pointy tweezers. That's my favorite. I need a small hole device. I use that tweezers more often for carving than I do for tweezing. Then I'm going to, once those are cured, you're going to string them over the eyebrow posts and just play with them. Make sure the placement is correct. If the placement doesn't look right, I would scrap the eyebrows, leave the posts in place. If that placement does look good, you can cut off the extra wire and then take a little bit more of your dark green acrylic and cover the ends of the wires so that the eyebrow cannot fall off. You're basically just sculpting a little stopper. Do that with some level of caution so that you don't accidentally glue your eyebrow in a stationary place. So make sure you don't get any of that acrylic on the brow itself. Keep it just on the wire. Once you're done with that, the acrylic underneath the nail where you attach those other wires should be nice and cured, and you can cut off the extra. I am using a wire cutting fingernail clippers for this. I have a fingernail clippers I use just for that kind of a purpose. I'm going to make sure that my monster works like I planned for him to, and then I'm going to just add those final details with some acrylic paint. When you're doing this, if you did not paint in fur texture before and you wanted to, now would be the time to do it. Since I do have some fur texture already in, I'm going to take a darker shade of green acrylic that has been diluted, and I'm going to just wash over the fur a little bit. The diluted paint will sink into the low spots of the sculpting and bring out all of that texture that was sculpted in. I'm going to add some details to my eyes of my monster. There is different kind of painting styles you could do with this. You could do some really realistic, really creepy looking painting if you wanted. I went for more of a cutesy style, so he's got a cute face and an angry face depending on whether his mouth is open and where his eyebrows are. I'm going to put some stripes on his horns. Like I said though, there's just so many different opportunities. I can't even get into it. It's just so funny. But you can add those stripes on the horns. I went with pink. I like pink and purple stripes. I think they look fantastic with a green monster. He looks so cool. Going to give him his pupils in his eyes. Try to, design his eyes in a way that will go with his eyebrows and make him look cranky when you don't want him to be cranky and cute when you want him to be cute. Apply a layer of gel sealer over the background to make sure that really sparkly black color shows up, making sure not to glue anything stationary as you're applying that gel top coat. You want everything to stay mobile. I'm also going to apply that glossy gel top coat over the teeth, the horns, and the eyes. Teeth, horns, and eyes. That's right. Once that's cured, apply a little bit of matte top coat over everything else, and then have fun with this guy. He is so cool. Play with him. Do different facial expressions. See all the different things you can do. Mine, I could have his mouth be a little crooked if I wanted to, straight on, all the way up, whatever you want. Just have fun with it. I hope you guys decide to make a recreation of this one just because I had so much fun with it, and I know that you will too. I'd love to see all your variations, so please share them with me on Facebook and Instagram because I would just get such a kick out of it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!